Hi, this is Mr. Scott, and I'm going to walk you through how to do heat transfer lab number 1 using the lab quests and the thermometers. So basically, if you look at heat transfer number 1, you get the problem statement that says, at what temperature will a mixture of equal amounts of hot and cold water reach equilibrium? So you can see I'm asking you, and Mr. Mott's asking you to make a hypothesis based on if you had equal amounts, 80 and 80, one's hot water, that's why the temperature is 80 degrees Celsius, one's cold water, 20 degrees Celsius. And let's say you were to mix those two now. If you were to mix those two, obviously you'd have 160 grams total, but what would be the final temperature or the equilibrium temperature that you think that those would hit? So it gives you some directions here, and the directions involve you using a styrofoam cup and measuring a certain amount of water using the styrofoam cup and using a scale. And that's fine. You can put this on a scale, hit the tare button on the scale so that it doesn't factor in the styrofoam cup, and then mass out a certain amount of water, whether it's 80 grams or 100 grams. Just make sure that your partner has the same amount of cold water as well. The other way that you can do it is you can use the graduated cylinders. So you can see here, I've got a thermometer. I've got a thermometer inside the cold water, and I've got roughly 100 and, well, I'd have to take the thermometer out, but I got roughly 100 milliliters of cold water there. And if I take the thermometer out of the warm water, I have roughly 100 milliliters of the hot water as well. So the question then is, and I don't know how well you can see that in the thermometer, but let's say the temperature is roughly 40 degrees for the hot water. And if I were to get you to focus in on the cold water, you can see that maybe the cold temperature is like 25 degrees. Question is, then if I went ahead and put these waters into the styrofoam cup, if I poured them both into the styrofoam cup and mixed them, what would be the final temperature? So a couple things we have for you to color code it to make it kind of nice. We have red and blue food coloring, so you can put red into the hot water, blue into the cold water, and then when you mix them into your styrofoam cup, you want to obviously pour them in, stir them with the thermometer, and get the final temperature. Okay, so that's the goal here, is to see if we can come up with a system. Now I want to show you how to use some of the technology that we have here. So we also have these lab quests, and you've used these in biology, so I'm going to show you how to use them. So first off, to turn them on, you press the power button there, and there is a power cable to plug them in. So right here in the outlet, I have a cable here, and that cable for power is going to plug in to the back side of the machine there. Okay, now when you plug it in and turn it on, you might note that it comes up like this. So I'm going to set this down here, and I'll hold this. Now when you plug in, these right here are temperature probes. You use them in biology when you had somebody run down the hallway and monitor their heart rate and see if it affected the temperature. So when you plug these guys in, they're going to go in, I don't know how well you can see that, in channel 1 and channel 2. So you're going to put them in channel 1 and put this guy in channel 2. And then immediately when I do that, I can start to see the temperatures. Now, so you know which temperature probe is which, you can squeeze the one, and you'll notice that's the blue guy. So I want to go ahead and make sure that I put that temperature probe into the cold water. So rather than using those thermometers like we had in the past, we can take those guys out now. And I know this is the cold temperature probe, and I can go ahead and dunk that into the cold water there. So that'll give you a temperature reading. All right, and then I can go ahead and do the same with the hot water. I can go ahead and take that temperature probe and put that in to the hot water there. And you can see the temperature of the hot water is going up. And as soon as that stops, it calibrates and stops moving, fluctuating with the temperature. You're ready to go ahead then and then mix them into the styrofoam cup. But we've got a neat program to help you with that. We've got a graphing program, and when you do that, you're going to hit the play button, and you can graph as you're going to go ahead and mix those. But I want to show you one last piece of technology here before we do that. Let's say you didn't want to use these temperature probes, so you took those out, you disconnected here. You notice it goes blank. And if you go to sensors here, we're going to go to wireless. We've got some new temperature probes, and you're going to choose the wireless setup right there. Okay, so when you click on that, it's enabling the Bluetooth, and you'll see the school has paid for, and we got some wireless temperature probes there. The trouble is, it picks up all of them. So you just want to know which ones you want to use, and the numbers are right on the back here. So this is 3B. So if I want to use 3B, I'm going to select the 3B guy right there. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK after I've selected the 3B. Okay, and now it gives me a temperature reading right there of that water. So what I'm going to do is, hopefully you can see this, I'm going to take the hot water and pour it into the styrofoam cup. Careful not to spill it here. And I'm going to take my 3B temperature probe, and I can even take a drop of the red food coloring, making sure not to get it on the temperature probe. And you can see what that looks like here. All right, so now I've got my hot water there. That's good. And you can see that that's 36.5 degrees or so as it's fluctuating. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to get another temperature probe out. And you can see that this one is 4B. So I'm going to go to my sensors, go wireless, and I'm going to set up 4B is the one I want to go with, and I hit OK. And once I do that, it's going to take a second. But now I'm going to get the same thing going with the cold water. So now with the cold water, I'm going to go ahead and pour the cold water into the styrofoam cup. I'm going to get my temperature probe 4B into that styrofoam cup. I'm going to add a drop of the blue food coloring into that one. So you can now see, I'm going to stir it around. Okay, and now I've got some temperature readings going on there. So now you're ready to graph it. When you're ready to graph it and the temperatures have seemed to stop fluctuating there, my hot water is really cool, but anyway, I'm going to hit the play button, and you can see it'll start graphing these, and I want to let about 10 seconds go by or so I get some nice initial temperatures showing on my graph. Alright, that seems about good. And now I'm going to take my hot water. It doesn't matter which one you do, but since the bigger styrofoam cup's over here, I'm going to go ahead and pour that in. Make sure I pour it all in there. Take both temperature probes and stir. Okay, while I'm doing that, you'll notice what's going on with the graph here. The cold water is obviously heating up and the warm water is obviously dropping. And since it's equal amounts, I should see the change looking pretty similar for both of those guys. So I'm going to let that go for a second till both temperature probes seem to reach the same temperature. And the temperatures are given over there. So you see how it says now 30, pretty much 30 for both of those guys. And I can stir a little bit to make sure. That's pretty good. So both temperature probes are reading about the same temperature. Not exactly, but they're close. So now I'm going to hit the stop button, which is over here in the bottom. And when I hit the stop button, I've got this beautiful graph. Now I got to transfer that to my iPad. So I'm going to give you a couple of rules, but you now have this graph stored on here. So you can hit this home button over here. There's a picture of a house, or you can tap it on with the stylus here. When you do that, you're going to go to connections, and there's a QR code there. Okay. This QR code, you're going to download the app called Graphical Analysis, and you're going to scan this QR code with graphical analysis. Your teacher will show you how to do that. When you do, that graph will automatically pop up to your iPad. Then you can download it to Notability. So once again, that's Mr. Scott showing you how to use the different forms of technology with the LabQuest and the Vernier wireless temperature probes.